Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, if you are new. I try not to get political on this channel, for obvious reasons, but this has angered me, and it concerns me, and it concerns many other people around the world, well, mainly in this country, and that is the recent transphobia that has been making its rounds. We all knew that the Tories were transphobic, but the problem that we have with the UK, and this isn't just to do with transphobia, this is to do with homophobia, racism, everything else, is that it's so ingrained in our society that we don't really think of it, and we don't really see it for what it is, despite the fact that trans-related hate crimes has increased by 184% in the past 4 years. That's 11% within the past year, and that's the highest it's ever been. We are 0.5% of the population, and yet we are 4 times more likely to be a victim of assault or a hate crime than the average cisgender person is. All of the studies I will link below, citing all of my citations. The ONS did a study recently, or did a survey recently in 2021, and more people refused to answer questions on the survey. More people refused to answer the question, is your gender that you identify with the same as your sex registered at birth? More people did not answer that question than those who answered yes. No, than those who answered no. So, are we really a threat? I think, and this is what many other people have kind of come to see, you take the rose-tinted glasses off and you actually see it for what it is. And that is the fact that trans people, yet again, are being thrown under the bus in the hopes that it will distract the British population from the NHS crumbling, the fact that the vast majority of people are struggling to afford food on the table. They can't pay to heat their homes. They can't afford to pay childcare. Death rates among young people are rapidly increasing. Homelessness is on the rise. People are not being paid the wages that they rightly deserve, and wages that they should be able to live on. The fact that junior doctors and nurses, the people that we need most in society, are being paid less than, jobs that are seen as less valuable. It's just ridiculous. And then, despite the fact that we haven't had segregated wards for years, and the vast majority of NHS hospitals do not have the capacity to be able to segregate their wards, trans women are now being banned from female prisons. But we're not going to tackle the fact that we have crippled our economy beyond repair. But no, trans people. Ooh, scary trans people. They're out to steal your gender. We're indoctrinating your kids. We're really not. From someone who's done an undergraduate degree in educational studies and who's worked in the educational sector for many years, I can promise you it is not indoctrinating children. The national curriculum, which is what your child should be being taught legally, is free for anyone to be able to access and read. It's on the government website. The vast majority of schools will also have their own curriculum for every single subject on their website. I know some of the schools that I've worked with in the past have done that. Their maths policy, their English policy, so basically what they cover in a year, depending on what year your child is in. And sex and relationships isn't compulsory up until, I think, primary age. Sex isn't even something that kids learn about up until probably, I think, year 5, year 6. It becomes statutory when they move into senior school. And yes, they're taught about same-sex relationships, but this is a meme I saw on the internet a few years ago, but it's very true. You're taught about, the Nazis invading Poland, but that doesn't mean that you're going to invade Poland. Just because you're taught something doesn't mean that you're going to become what you've been taught. It just means that you now know about that. And, teachers have a duty of care. They have a responsibility over the children. For the period of time that child is at school, they are those legal guardians. And yes, parents should be able to, access what their kids are learning. But teachers also have a duty and a right to be able to equip those children for real life. That is the whole point of school. And that is why they are taught about same-sex relationships, because those are the people that they are going to encounter in everyday life. As someone who grew up around an incredibly conservative family, I can promise you that family bred and fostered nothing but denial and resentment and anger and hatred. My father is a very angry man. His upbringing, he was brought up Catholic, and that has forever changed the way that he looks at even heterosexual sex. He does not see it in a very good light. They often say that either you teach your kid or the world will. And I know some schools will say, well, it's the parents' responsibility to teach them about that. Parents don't know about it. Parents don't know shit. And I know that some people say, well, then it's the teacher's responsibility to then educate the parents. Trust me, parents won't bother. They will not bother. They don't care. The attitude is completely shifted. A lot of parents just don't want to know. There are some parents that are absolutely amazing and incredibly involving. And you very much need to have a two-way conversation to be able to have that. But a lot of parents don't have the privilege to be able to do that. They don't have these skills. Anyway, I'm completely sidetracking. At the end of the day, we're people. And this is something I kind of realised earlier, the fact that I don't feel safe in my own country. And that's not right. I shouldn't have to feel that way. I will link below some useful places, some support services for LGBT and trans people, because I feel like that is important. It's just, you don't think it can get worse, and then it does, And although I don't feel safe, I am a lot safer now that I'm on hormones, and that is a terrifying thought, because I'm less likely to get clocked as trans, therefore I'm less likely to be attacked, because that's all that this is giving people. This is only giving people an excuse to hate on and attack trans people. It's literally all it is. Because what he said was completely unnecessary. It didn't go towards any of the policies or any of the changes that were made. It was just him being a hateful, hateful man. And please don't let him get you down. If anything, do it out of spite, is all I say. If only people could spend a day in someone else's shoes. It's not easy being trans. A lot of people are ostracised from their own families. You know, a lot of people are made jobless, homeless. A lot of people kill themselves. You know, we are far more likely to kill ourselves. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but I'll link them below. But we are at greater risk of suicide, of self-harm, of addictions, of mental health issues, and these statistics drop massively when in an accepting environment. I have the same rights as you. I should have those same rights, because at the end of the day, I am a person. You know, I am just like you. I hold down a job. I have pets. I have a social life. You know, I have dreams. I have life. I have a life. I have goals. And, you know, a small part of me shouldn't stop that. You know, it's just the last thing that we need. You know. Anyway, that was my little rant. That was my 2 cents on the whole thing. Like I said, I will link below all of the studies and any support services that, you know, might be helpful. I just thought I'd spread some truth, I guess you could say, because, you know, it's important to talk about these things. And this wasn't the video that I planned, but it's the video that I'm making. I'm sorry it feels a bit pointless, but it's kind of, it hits close to home, and I am scared. And I think the fact that, you know, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, we're not a transphobic country. Yeah, we are. You know, the fact that no insurance company in the UK covers gender affirming care. You know, I think that speaks for itself. Also, I think it was in Ireland, but this priest was basically saying that he's blessed a cow in labour, he's blessed a donkey, a horse, but he can't bless 2 men or 2 women that are in love, which doesn't quite make sense to me. And again, I think that speaks for itself. Anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you. Please, please, please stay safe. I know that it's hard. If it's getting to you and you finding that it's affecting you, please delete any of the news apps, turn your phone off, don't look at it for a few days, because to be honest with you, you can't change it, so there's no point worrying about it. I know it's easier said than done, but seriously, avoid it at all costs, because if it's affecting mental well-being, then it's not worth it. You know, the news shouldn't make you feel like shit. And unfortunately it is at the moment. You know, there's many things going on in the world, and yet, you know, apparently trans people are the most important thing, or the threat of trans people. We can ignore the fact that the world is quite literally burning. Scary trans people. Anyway, hopefully next week's video will be a little bit more chipper. I'll be a little bit less angry. But until then, over and out. Love you.